Hey, welcome to the Country Doctor Nutrition Show YouTube channel. My name is Dan Young. I'll be hosting you through this mini video of the full version of our Nutrition 101 class. For whatever reason, you were not able to join us in person, and I would encourage you to mark your calendar for the fourth Tuesday of the month, whichever month you are available and can join us live. The live experience of our educational classes is so much more beneficial in terms of being able to interact with an audience and ask all of your questions. So at the end of the video, please write down questions you might have and send them to me in the comments section here on the YouTube channel or directly to my cell phone, 307-631-5300. You're certainly welcome to reach out to me directly. The purpose of the Nutrition 101 class is to give you some foundational, proven nutritional basics on how important your food choices and food combining choices are to your overall health and performance. So let's get started by putting your health in order with the Nutrition 101 video. There are 4 areas that we focus on in terms of performance and producing optimum health. Obviously, diet, rest, stress management, and movement. And these are very simple areas, but yet very important areas that we should give consideration to on a daily basis. When it comes to rest, 6 to 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep would be ideal, obviously. When it comes to stress, the different stress reduction techniques that can be used, the Epsom salts, ginger powder bath formula that we provide in the clinic for people dealing with stress and maybe aches and pains and sleep problems, things of that nature. If you want a copy of that, just let us know. We'll get it to you. It is wonderful for reducing stress and promoting better quality sleep. And then movement. And a friend of mine shared this with me. I thought it was pretty brilliant. He goes to the gym a lot, and he said, there's only 3 things when it comes to movement that anybody, regardless of age, needs to really be concerned with. He said, number 1, strength, number 2, endurance, and number 3, flexibility. And if a person would be willing to develop the habit of 20 minutes a day on lightweight workouts, 20 minutes a day on maybe a treadmill or a stationary bike, and 20 minutes a day on good, flexible stretching exercises or yoga, that type of thing, they would be amazed at their overall physical health and performance. Those are just some key areas on rest, stress, and movement. This video is going to really focus on and dive a little deeper on the dietary side of things. We're really not going to talk about the evaluations that we provide in the clinic, nor are we going to go into the supplementation. We're going to really focus on the most important habit that you can work on over time, and that's your dietary habits. In going through your handouts, just briefly, you should have 2 pages. One is the daily nutritional diet, which should be on the top of your handouts, followed by a 4-page detailed description of what that daily nutritional diet should look like. The next handout should be Healthy Foods List A to Z. This is a list that I put together for the Cheyenne Garden Club many, many years ago, and I thought, well, it's interesting to provide this to other people regarding foods that heal, what foods actually do in the body, what our bodies can actually do with food in terms of restoring health and optimum performance. The banana fact sheet's kind of a fun fact sheet to have, and unless you're on phase 1 food program because we found a yeast overgrowth concern, the banana fact sheet gives you some nice details on the benefits of good quality bananas. The next handout should be 146 Reasons Why Sugar is Ruining Your Health by Nancy Appleton. And I'll tell you, if people are serious about getting their health back, it shouldn't take more than 3 or 4 reasons to understand that sugar is ruining your health. And thank you, Nancy, for all the research that you did, coming up with over 146 health-ruining issues caused by sugar. Your next handout should be the sugar control diet. People that tell me all the time, I don't eat sugar, I share, well, eat this diet for 2 weeks and let me know how you feel. And a few days in, when they call me up and say, I've got a headache and I don't feel good, I'll say, well, then you've proven that your body's trying to detoxify from all that sugar you're not eating, okay? The sugar control diet's a great way to identify if there is, in fact, way too much sugar in the diet. The next handout is different names for sugar. It's amazing to me what food manufacturers and labeling laws allow these manufacturers to say about foods, and all the different names that you would never even associate with these names being actually just another name or a different name for sugar. Next is nightshades, foods to avoid for anyone with chronic pain. Do yourself and or your friends or family a favor who are suffering from chronic pain issues. Have them avoid the nightshade foods for a minimum of 6 weeks and watch their pain issues and concerns improve by no less than 50 to 80% in most cases. The Death Begins in a Colon flyer is so important it made it into our book, the 18 Steps to Optimum Health by the Country Doctor. And this flyer really kind of logs and captures all the different experiences over 52 different physicians from around the world had in terms of hormone problems and autoimmune problems, digestive issues, skin issues, allergies, all the different things that people can deal with and develop as a result of the impurities and the toxicities that accumulate in the colon. So it's a great read, and I encourage you to really pay close attention to that. The Got Milk flyer, which I have added to this video, should be renamed Got Pus. You know, if you have a cow or a goat and you milk it yourself and collect that milk and drink it, you're drinking a whole food that hasn't been tampered with by man. But when you go to the grocery store and you get a pasteurized product, you're now dealing with something that has been processed to the point where really you're just getting milk pus proteins. And I know that sounds gross, and some of you hearing this for the first time, maybe I've destroyed your diet a little bit, but good, because people who drink milk on a regular basis, over 70% of them are sensitive to it and don't even realize it. So Eric Daniels did a great job putting together some resources that talk about the importance of avoiding processed cow's milk. It's always important to continue with your education, so we've given you a brief reading list for your future educational experience, different topics, whether it be cholesterol or vaccines or different food types and diets, things that will benefit you and your family. So go through that list and just find the ones that interest you, that pique your interest, and put those in your personal library for use in the future. And last but not least, the reprogramming and what is a healing crisis. When people start a personalized nutrition plan specific to their needs, and they start supplying the body what it needs to properly cleanse and nourish itself, to restore optimum function, you can actually go through different sensations like maybe a 3 to 5 day, almost a physical crisis where you're almost having flu-like symptoms, okay? The body's trying to purify itself. It's trying to rid itself of these impurities that have built up and get rid of the excess toxins. And when you start supplying it with the right dietary choices and the right supplements to go along with that diet, you're now giving the body what it needs to cleanse and to nourish. And when it goes through its cleansing, when it goes through its house cleaning, it doesn't feel so good. So understanding that that is a natural response, it's a normal, good response that the body might have, and read through these documents and be familiar with them. Any of these, as far as the resource handouts that we've gone over just briefly here, as you go through these, if you have questions or comments, by all means reach out to me. Again, you can leave a comment on the YouTube channel here, or you can send a direct text message to me anytime with your questions, and that direct number is 307-631-5300. Here's how our bodies actually perform. Our bodies can only use food as nutrition in order to perform two primary functions, which I've touched on, which is to cleanse and nourish itself. And what it doesn't use to either cleanse or nourish, it will either discard as a non-useful byproduct, or it will actually store it in the body for future use or elimination. It is critically important to understand that food is the only thing the body can use to restore, rebuild, and repair function. There never has been, is not currently, nor will there ever be in the future a drug which can do in or for the human body what food does. Remember this always, this phrase, food restores function. Drugs hide dysfunction. Remember that. It's a very important saying. I'll say it again. Food restores function. Drugs hide dysfunction. So only food contains the genuine replacement parts the body can use to perform optimally in terms of cleansing and nourishing itself. One of the things that we've always been very fortunate is to have access to and have worked with many nutritional pioneers over the years. This gentleman was considered one of the top authors in his field in the area of whole food concentrates, nutrition, diet, soil quality, the cause and development of all illness. And this is just one of the many books that he wrote, The Chemistry of Man, and that was by Dr. Bernard Jensen. He was the originator of iridology. Some of you may have heard of that, where they take a picture of the eye and can map through the iris the different areas and pathways in the body which show stress or congestion or even damage, degeneration, toxicity, etc. In his lifetime, he saw over 400,000 patients worldwide, personally wrote over 60 books on a variety of health concerns and how to correct them with food. And one of the things I found fascinating that I still use to this day, after being exposed to his work some 20 years ago, is that for every month a person is following the right nutritional therapy plan that's personalized to them, they can erase as much of a year of stress and effects that stress has had on the body. So for 1 month of doing the right thing and the right amount and keeping the diet straight and the right supplementation on point, you can erase as much of a year of stress off the body. So it's a fascinating thing to remember. And we tell people this all the time in the orientation class, that it takes 3 to 6 months to get stable. It takes 1 to 3 years to get well. And that's why it takes that time. 2 things are happening. 1, we're erasing stress over time. And 2, it takes 3 to 6 months for people to get better habits in place regarding their health. And a little side note here at the end, he used to bring people to his farm in California, and regardless of the illness they had, he taught them how to eat in order to heal that illness that they had actually developed because of those bad habits. So a fascinating man, again, over 60 books on the topic of health concerns and health restoration, and I would certainly encourage you to look him up as a valued resource on top topics for the future. Most people don't realize it takes 10 different nutrients that the human body, 10 different categories actually of nutrients, and that's just to maintain par performance. And that 10 categories includes over 100 nutrients on a daily basis. So just briefly, number 1 is 24 amino acids, building blocks, proteins for muscles. Number 2, carbohydrates, but the right type of carbohydrates for good sustainable energy. Number 3 is essential fatty acids. Number 4, 16 vitamins. Number 5, 72 minerals. Number 6 is enzymes. Number 7, phytonutrients, plant source nutrition. And then obviously 8, 9, and 10 go without saying: sun, oxygen, and water. And water being the number 1 nutrient of all these things. We cannot survive very long without the number 1 healing element, which is water. If you're doing food logs for our office, you're going to now discover how we grade those food logs, what we're looking for, and the new habits that we're trying to help you develop. We call it the 80-20 resource for dietary habits. Number 1, 6 vegetables daily in the form of a salad or a smoothie, not 6 carrots, okay, or 6 cucumber chips, okay? But think colors of the rainbow. Think multiple colors, not a huge bowl of salad, or a plate filled with salad, but just multiple colors on a daily basis in the form of a salad or smoothie, preferably organic when possible. You'd be surprised. Sometimes you'll find good deals at your local grocery store on organic versus the normal shopping that you do with fruits and vegetables. So really pay attention for good price shopping opportunities. The next one is to make sure you eat at least 2 pieces of fruit, eating it by itself and as an in-between meal snack. So when we were taught how to drive a car, we would position our hands in the 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock position on the steering wheel. I encourage people to consider fruit snacks at the same time. Around 10 o'clock in the morning, a small, cup of blueberries or raspberries or some strawberries or a couple of slices of apple or a couple of slices of orange, something like that, at 10 o'clock and then again at 2 o'clock. Away from other foods because it can affect digestion if you try and eat those foods together with like a main meal or a bread or a cereal or something like that. The next category, one starch. Here's where it gets interesting because we live in Wyoming and that's meat and potatoes country, and we love our meat and our potatoes. The problem is when you mix a starch with meat protein at the same time, it creates huge digestive stress, gas, bloating, nausea, heartburn, stomach cramping, things of that nature. So we can alleviate a tremendous amount of digestive stress by simply choosing to alter our dietary food combining. And that's what this is touching on. And lastly, one meat protein daily. This should be the size of the palm of the hand, thickness of a deck of playing cards, fish, fowl, beef, venison, this type of thing. So the top two lines, it says 6 vegetables daily and 2 fruit. That should make up about 80% of the daily intake. And then the second, 1 starch and 1 meat protein, should make up about 20%. Now, can you have more protein than this? Yes, in the form of seeds and nuts and a hard-boiled egg. And eggs are not meat protein, okay? So you can have some of these other things. For those of you who like to have a little more protein in the day, by all means, don't limit yourself. And in closing on this particular slide, this is what we grade all of our food logs by initially, unless you've been given specific other food avoidances from myself or Craig or Tammy, or you're specifically on phase 1 for the first 30 days. This is what we're initially looking for to help you develop a new habit of thinking in terms of the 80-20 resource of dietary habits. We can spend a lot of time telling you what you could do and should do, but we need to also touch on the top 6 things you need to avoid as best as possible. We call these the dirty half dozen. We've already talked a little bit about white sugar and white sugar products. Again, refer back to Nancy Appleton's handout, 146 Reasons Why Sugar's Ruining Your Health. White flour and white flour products. If you ever taken flour, put it in a bowl with some water, it makes a sticky, gooey paste. In fact, many years ago in the construction industry, that's exactly what they used to hang wallpaper. So white flour and water makes a really, really almost over sticky paste for that type of thing. Next is dairy products from the grocery store. We talked about the pasteurized, homogenized products from the grocery store, and especially when it comes to milk. This is nothing more than what I refer to as pus in a jug. And for you milk drinkers, I hope I've ruined your taste for milk from this point forward. And if you're going to have cheese, make sure you have cheese that's a white cheese. Stay away from Swiss. It tends to be problematic for most people who are allergy sensitive to certain foods, and Swiss can be one of those that feeds into that problem. You want to do provolone, pepper jack, Gouda, Havarti, that type of thing. No more than 1 or 2 ounces per day maximum of a white cheese consumption is usually safe for most people unless we test and find otherwise. The reason pork made the dirty half dozen list of foods to avoid is because it will support parasite activity more than most any other meat out there. And people that do eat a lot of pork tend to have to do a lot of immune system support in the area of parasite cleansing. Foods fried in oils, it's the frying that gets us. That fat turns into something our body can't process, and it parks it in the arteries and capillaries, and we have other problems develop as a result of it. So avoid foods fried in oils. If you're going to use oil, use olive oil or avocado oil. Most oils today in the commercial grocery stores, you can look on the side of the label, and it'll give you the heat rating of that oil. And the higher the heat rating, the better it is to cook with. I personally like to see people just use their fruits or their vegetable preparation in kind of a steamed water situation, and then pour the vegetables into a strainer, then pour the vegetables back into a bowl, a serving bowl that you're going to use, and then add the oil or a big tab of butter and stir it in and still get that nice oily kind of that buttery flavor without having superheated the oil to prepare those foods. Lastly, on the dirty half dozen is margarine. Most people don't realize the margarine that people consume actually found its origins in the feedlot industry for turkey and cows, where they were feeding them oils in hopes that they would save money on food because they wanted to make more money on the sale of those of the products, the cows and the turkey as a commodity. The price was set as high as they could go, so the only way you can earn more money on a product is to improve your profit margin, is to cut the cost of production. And so they started feeding oils, these processed oils, to cows and turkey. The problem is they dropped dead from it after about 14 weeks. And they thought, oh no, this is no good. We're going to lose our herds this way and our flocks. So, hey, we got a great idea. Let's just repackage this stuff and sell it to people. So they came out with a product called Oleo, and heart attack, stroke, and cardiovascular incidence rates skyrocketed very shortly after that. And here's the tagline: eat our margarine, it's lower in cholesterol than butter, which is not, it's not a lie. It's just not the whole truth. Margarine is lower in cholesterol than butter, but oh, by the way, your body can't process it. It's going to park it, and it could be life-threatening and ill-causing to your cardiovascular system. So that part was conveniently left out. And eat butter if you want. And even that stuff that, the label that says, can't believe it's not butter, believe it, it's not butter. My family, we love Kerrygold and the gold label. The Irish whipped butter is one of the best. It tastes amazing. Boy, I'll tell you, I can just almost eat a whole brick of it in one setting. It's just that good. But those are the top dirty half dozen foods that we want to make sure people pay close attention to and eliminate the consumption of these things and or greatly reduce it. You'll be glad you did, because your health will greatly improve as a byproduct of avoiding these foods. What you're looking at right now is when we consume the standard American diet. This is faults, encasements, and impacted fecal that is built up in the colons of most people. This was actually removed with a Kalima board, which is a kind of a hybrid between a colonic and an enema. Kalima board is a contraption you can use in home, which after taking in an adsorbent, which is a kind of a ICF 1 and 2, are part of our bowel cleansing protocols. The ICF2, which is made up of apple pectin, pharmaceutical grade charcoal, bentonite clay, and the whole flax seeds as a scrubbing agent, will actually remove these things out of the bowel. And what you're looking at is the true effects of the standard American diet, too much of the dirty half dozen. So in conclusion, a brief overview to our Nutrition 101 class. Remember the most important basics. Consistency is more important than perfection. Nobody does this perfectly, including myself. If you look at my food logs, I'm 90 to 95% on point on a daily basis. Okay? No one's perfect. Anybody that tells you they have a perfect diet, ask them what else they're fibbing about. But consistency in your choices over time is what develops key dietary habits for health restoration. Identify a few key things that we've gone over or in the handouts that you're going to read, and begin to go to work on them. You'll see the benefits within a matter of days or weeks. Be as compliant as you can. Remember that every day is a new day to make progress, and that only by cleansing and nourishing the body will it restore, rebuild, and repair function. Please review your handouts that you received, that you kind of went through as you watched this brief video, and be sure and bring your questions with you on future exams here at the clinic. Please remember, as a reminder, take advantage of all the other educational resources that we provide. On the first and third Tuesday of every month, 6:15 here at the clinic, we do a clinic orientation class. It's about 30 minutes, and for those attending the class, their first 2 visits are complimentary. We do this to make certain we're an absolute great match for each other and that we'll get along fabulously in helping you restore your health. And as a reminder, the 4th Tuesday of each month is the Nutrition 101 class in its entirety that is open to the public, so bring family and friends. If you love podcasts, please consider subscribing to the Total Wellness Radio Podcast. We put out podcasts on all of the major platforms. Just type in Total Wellness Radio and you'll see our podcast platform come up on your podcast app that you use. on your phone or on your laptop. And please ask the front office about hosting a Share the Care party. We are thrilled about the opportunity to educate other people in our community about what we do and how we do it and how it can make sense and have such an amazing impact on them restoring their health. So Share the Care parties, to get more details, again, just get a hold of our front office, 307-634-2464, and ask about the Share the Care program and hosting a Share the Care in your home or community. In closing, I want to thank you so much for, again, taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us. I know this was a very rapid overview of some of the things that we do cover in the Nutrition 101 class, but this is enough to certainly get you started in the right direction with the right proven resources so that you can put your health in order. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time.